Have you ever found yourself on a path less traveled only to realize it's a path not meant for human feet? Picture an ancient forest, its trees gnarled and twisted with age, their roots reaching deep into the earth, drawing upon centuries of wisdom. Each leaf, each branch, seems to hum with an energy that words can scarcely capture. I'd found a guidebook in my grandmother's library, dog-eared and well-thumbed. It seemed the perfect tool for my weekend hike. After parking my car, I headed onto well-trodden paths past the park sign. 30 minutes later, I found myself in a complete quiet, save for a singular bird calling high above me. The path had gone from mixed, colorful fall trees and firs to the thick trunks of an old-growth forest. A wind whistled around me and I turned quickly, feeling as if I was being followed. Intrigued by the changed landscape, I forged on. Checking my GPS, I could still tell I was headed due north, and saw the path I'd traveled visible on the app. Were spirits guarding its sacred grounds? Were the woods whispering as the name of this trip in the guidebook suggested? Small branches crackled beneath my feet as I wound my way upward. The trail, narrowing as smaller-sized firs with larger trees behind them, hugged the way forward. Suddenly, a cacophony of birds broke the stillness and I looked up. Seeing nothing, I turned and looked over my left shoulder. The path behind me wound downwards from whence I came and now displayed shifting mists, blowing gently with the wind. Rustling leaves masked unseen movements. I was completely isolated and felt the full effect of a forest bath. Nature's energy around me. I stopped, soaking it in. The silence was profound. I feel my heart beating in my chest as the encroaching mist from the trail behind me reached my boots and began swirling upwards. An owl hooted to my left, jarring me out of my reverie. Footsteps fell softly on the moss-covered ground, yet they felt as loud as thunderclaps in the stillness. The air and surroundings no longer felt calm, but thick with an inexplicable tension, a sense of unease and foreboding that was as palpable as the mist that blanketed the forest floor. As I ventured further, the shapes in my peripheral vision began to take form. Shadows danced and swayed, teasing my senses, playing tricks on my mind. The faint rustling of leaves, the soft murmuring of the wind, it all seemed to carry an eerie symphony of whispers. The forest appeared to be alive, watching me with 1,000 unseen eyes, and then a sensation of coldness, as if a spectral hand had brushed against my skin. The chills sent shivers down my spine, goosebumps spreading across my arms. The forest's whispers grew louder, like a chorus of ghostly voices guarding the forest. Quickly I turned, no longer heading forward. I wasn't enjoying this brush with mist and chills up my spine. The vibe had changed, signaling it was time for me to go. Heading down the trail, I couldn't see beyond each turn, only able to see a few feet in front of me at a time. The light changed overhead and a gloomy grayness descended. As I reached into my pocket for my phone to check my heading, off to the right, a stronger glimmer of light beckoned. Although no other trails had seemed present on the way up, now a small forking path headed towards the light. I peered in that direction and spotted through the spindly trees the outline of a stone cabin with a roof of sorts. Feeling chilled, I decided to head that way and regroup under the structure. I couldn't imagine anyone would be living there, so deep into the woods was I. Rain began to splatter down as I approached the cabin. It looked much better close up than it had from a distance. I stepped up onto the porch, noticing the stoop seemed well cared for and swept. The door was ajar, so I pushed it open and quickly stepped in, grateful to be out of the rain. Immediately I knew I was not alone. Here, down an out-of-the-way trail, almost unseen, was this cabin and warmth, and a lone chair rocking slightly in front of a crackling fire. My heart pounded in my chest, fear and fascination waging a war within me. "Hello," I said to the empty room. No answer came. I walked around the room, noticing one staircase upwards. "Hello, is anyone home?" I called again. I headed up the stairs, turning on the flashlight on my phone. At the top of the stairs, a door was ajar. Slowly, I pushed it open to find a bed, plumped and inviting with blankets and pillows. Chillingly, the bed sheets were turned open with a welcoming corner fold. Was I expected? What was going on? Suddenly, I felt a presence and then heard an ethereal voice whispering as I stood in the upstairs room. Rest here for the night. It is getting late," the voice hissed. My heart pounded in my chest, each beat echoing the ticking of an unseen clock, counting down my time in this ghostly cabin. Back in the main room and past the chair, I headed to the door. The light was fading as I stepped outside. "Don't go! Don't leave me!" was whispered as I looked up. Ghostly forms flitted between the trees, long tendrils of mist threaded through the undergrowth towards my legs as I began to run down the path. My skin prickled with an icy dread as the small trail I had come up towards the cabin seemed to evaporate. I was in the midst of a thicket of trees, dense and pressing in around me. I yearned for the familiar, the ordinary, the safe. This was not the restful hike I'd begun earlier this day. And then, like a lighthouse piercing the fog, I saw it. The glint of metal through the undergrowth, the familiar silhouette of my car. Could I be there already? Was I closer and had become turned around in my race down the trail? Clearly, I wasn't the experienced hiker I thought myself to be. A sense of time and space and the creepy cabin had jarred me. It was as if I'd been holding my breath and could finally exhale as I pressed on. Relief washed over me like a cleansing rain. I briefly looked behind me, seeing a larger trail fan out, just as I had remembered it from the start of my hike. I hurried towards my car, the ghostly whispers fading into the background. Rain continued to patter down, yet that was soon drowned out by the comforting crunch of gravel underfoot. I fumbled for the keys, the cold metal a reassuring weight in my hand. As the engine roared to life, I felt a sense of escape, a release from the bowels of the ancient forest. Yet, as I drove away, the feeling of the supernatural lingered, like a phantom limb. I glanced in the rearview mirror. The forest stood still, ancient and whispering, its secrets locked away and guarded by whatever presence inhabited that cabin. I had escaped, yet I also felt I had left a piece of myself behind. This particular day had etched itself onto me and was one I would not forget anytime soon.